So I'm back here with my good friend Rich Norton. How you doing today, Rich?
I'm doing excellent. Always great to talk with you, my friend.
Absolutely. So we've been talking the last couple of weeks. We did kind of the science of selling, then the psychology of selling. We talked about morning routine, but let's go a little broader today and talk about time management. Obviously, the one thing that we all have in common is we all have the same amount of minutes in our day. So talk about your mindset around time management and how we use that resource.
Yeah, such a great point. I always start out by telling everybody take inventory of your day,
Mm.
and you'll be amazed on how much time that you waste. I like it when people ask me, they're like, "Hey, did you watch that reality show such and such at 9:30 last night?" I'm like, "Nope, never heard of it, and don't even plan on watching it at all." And people waste, and I'm not telling people don't have fun. You want to enjoy life, but it's amazing how much time that people can waste. And when you start taking inventory of your day, of all the things that are just wasting your time and taking away from you becoming successful, you can get rid of a lot of things, and you can get rid of a lot of stress too. Most people create their own stress because they don't have a plan. They don't plan out their day. And here is my philosophy, and I think those of them taking notes out there should write this down. Time is my capital. I have to invest it wisely. Every second counts. So if you're wasting time, spending time doing all this garbage stuff, watching the news and all this other stuff, some people will watch all these news stations for hours upon hours and keep listening to all the negativity where you can get all that info in about 2 minutes. So quit wasting time. Time is your capital. Invest it wisely. And it not only counts in life in general, but it really does count in our business. Because how can you go out and write two a day, three a day, if you have 5 hours, 6 hours in a day? Well, you have to look at how you're spending your time in the field. And the time that you waste with a non prospect stops you from being with the right merchant. So no's are part of what we do. We're not in the convincing business. You could be talking to a merchant, pounding your head up against the wall. I'm going to spend an hour and a half with this business. I'm writing them no matter what. I'm going to cram it down their throat. And then you walk out of there so frustrated. Like, I spent all this time with the merchant. I can't believe I wrote it. Meanwhile, you have a merchant right down the road that was just saying, wow, we got our statement. We're spending too much. We need to do something here, talking to their assistant. And by the time you go to that one, either that person's gone or you're ticked off and you yell at them when you meet them. Hey, my name's Rich. I'm helping people. They're like, whoa. So it's important to understand that every second of your time has to be spent wisely when you're out in the field. For example, some people say, hey, we ought to do lunch sometime. Can you meet for lunch? Or let's go over here. I'm like, nope. Can't do that at all. I don't have lunch. I'm out in the field. I'm making every second count. Here's my lunch. I got a little lunch box, right? That's my proof right there. So I'm eating while I'm contacting merchants. I'll say, if you want to meet me for breakfast at 6 in the morning somewhere, more than happy to do that. But while I'm out in the field, I'm making every second count. You can spend a whole hour and a half at a lunch. Think about how many businesses that you can contact during that time. So every second counts, and that goes with the way we present everything. We can have this whole long, drawn out presentation and end up talking them out of it because it sounds just so overwhelming. Your presentation is so long that you need intermission right in the middle because it's too long. So
Right,
forget about that. There's some businesses that you can write up in 5 minutes. Some
right.
of the smaller to the medium sized businesses, and they're basically saying, I want it. And you're like, no, wait a minute. I still got part 8 of my presentation. I want it. So go
Yeah.
out and present them and make every second count. Time is your capital. Invest it wisely.
Yeah, it's so interesting. Two thoughts I had that I wanted to get your thoughts. So one of them that's so funny is you're saying this about lunch. I'm sitting here right now. I'm a little bit hungry actually because I implemented something new in the last week where I realized that lunch is my least healthy, least productive meal of the day. And so I
Hmm.
started doing this really big breakfast and then I eat dinner. And I was like, I just got an entire like hour of my day back 5 days a week, 365 days a year. That's massive. So, it's like you have to be willing and I may try something different. And, you have to be willing to try things. And even, I'm 41 years old. I'm pretty successful guy, but I'm still trying stuff. I want to figure out, wait
Yeah.
a minute, can I get a little time back over here? Can I get a little time back there? And so you want to be trying things and experimenting. But the other thing, Rich, I want to get your thoughts on. One thing I found is people with a plan, it seems like life tends to kind of work around the people's plan that have a plan. You know, when
Yes.
people know that I have a schedule and my schedule is usually done at least a week in advance, if not further. And so as a result of that, when there's a group text and everybody's going, "Hey, we want to do this," generally everybody starts by saying, "Hey, James, when are you available?" And they do
Yes.
that because they know I have a very structured life and I have a lot of
That's
scheduled
right.
things. And I'll say, "Oh yeah, I'm available on this day or whatever." And they'll tend to adjust what they were going to do to my schedule because whoever is planned out the furthest in advance kind of wins in this time game.
That's right.
If you know what I
That's
mean. And
right.
so what are your thoughts
Yeah.
on that? I feel like you got to get those constraints and even with your significant other, it's like you have to have these conversations and say, okay, let's be realistic here. What's going to work? And when, for me, I do drop my kids off at school. That's something I do every single day. I even make breakfast. Almost every day I make breakfast and take my kids to school. But I get up early in the morning and do other things. And then I work and sometimes I'll work later. And so my wife and I have to have these conversations. So talk a little bit about like the structure and getting life to kind of work around that.
Yes, absolutely. And that goes back to the whole thing about, do you fly by the seat of your pants? And
Right.
you'll find that the ones that do, that have no structure in life, if you really think about it, those are the ones that are the most stressed out. I mean, you're around them. It's like, I got to go here. I got to run. They're always in a hurry. They're always rushing around, and they
Yeah.
don't really get a lot accomplished. They're busy. They're
Right.
not productive, but they're busy. And there's a big difference between being busy or being productive. And my commitment is to always be productive. And you're right. My wife and I talk about that. And when we make plans with other people, a lot of say, "Hey, I know you got a lot going on, and you're keeping busy, but hey, can we do breakfast, or can we go? What are you guys doing next weekend? Or you want to go to a concert?" I'm like, "Okay, let me check the schedule, and yeah, we can fit that in. That works for me." So
Right.
when people know that you're a high performer and you're organized, they respect that,
Yeah.
and they'll talk to you and try to make plans. And
Yeah.
and not only that, they want to be around you, because
Yeah.
people want to be around people that are positive and have a great life, and really spread good cheer and encouragement to everybody else. People want to be around positive people as
Yeah.
opposed to people that are flying by the seat of their pants, unproductive, and just stressed
Yeah.
out.
Yeah.
So that's really, really good point.
One other quick tip that I wanted to provide, and I'm curious if you have something similar. Early on with payment processing for me, I would do things like tell the merchant, they were interested, but I needed to come back for something. And I would say like, oh yeah, well when are you available? When can I come back to talk to you?
Yes.
Because I was very excited
Yeah.
about it. And I very quickly realized that was totally unnecessary. I started saying to them,
Hmm.
I'm going to be back out here on Wednesday and Friday. Wednesday is going to be in the morning, Friday is the afternoon. Which of those works better for you? And I
Yes.
realized that even the merchants will work around my schedule if I have one. I'm curious your thoughts on that.
Yes. Such a good point. You can be desperate salesman, right, or
Right.
salesperson, and they say, "Okay, come in. When do you want me to come back? Is it okay if I come back tomorrow?" That's the weak, desperate salesperson, and
Right.
that goes to many of the points that I make. You're the most busiest person in the area. You're the one everybody wants to talk to, and if you say to them, "As you can imagine, I keep busy. Here's the good news. I'm going to be back in the area tomorrow, and I promised several other businesses in this area that I was going to be able to help them out. One person, I have to be there because they just want to make sure that I'm there. But the good news, I'll be around all day. I got a few spots open, thankfully. What works better for you, morning or afternoon?"
Right. Right. And you give them
Yeah.
give them that alternate advance, especially when you're driving a long way. A lot of times you have certain areas where you're like, this is where I want to be on Monday. This is where I want to be. And
Yes.
I actually end up splitting my area. So I ended up taking my area on a map and I drew a kind of a box and I had four kind of quadrants. And it was like Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. Then Friday was my day to go wherever I needed to go. That's how I did it.
Yes.
And then
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
had that memorized. And so I knew, and I'd say, well, yeah, I'm going to be back here on, Monday or whatever. So I have my day where I would try to go and get these deals
Yeah.
done. So you got to have a structure and you got to have a way to manage the time. So,
No doubt
uh,
about it. And that goes back to the plan of knowing that exactly where you're going. Like I
Yep.
know every week what days, like Monday, I'll be in one area and I'll set it up to be back in that area Thursday. Tuesday, I might be back in that area Friday. So I could say to them, I got great news. I'm not, because sometimes when they say, can you come back tomorrow? No, I'd love to. I've got another area. I'm helping out a bunch of people. But the good news is I'm going to be back in the area on Wednesday or whatever day you're going to be back. I can squeeze you in then. What works better, morning or afternoon?
Right. Exactly. It's that concept and getting that across, and not even in a, you're not, it's not a trick or a lie. It's, you genuinely have a structured life that you've planned
That's right.
things out. And as a result, that's going to come through, and that confidence is going to come through. And people are going to say, well, my goodness, this person's pretty important, pretty busy. I better squeeze in here where I can, and I better have a meeting with them. And then when you come back, there's a different mindset. It's like, well, this is that person that I had to schedule with. and
Yes.
and there and small
Yes.
business owners aren't used to that, and so that's good. So anyway, Rich, has all been great stuff. For those who want to reach out to you, learn more about getting that coaching, achieving that level of success in the industry, where would you send them to learn more?
That's our commitment to help take representatives to a high level. You can reach me at 904-434-4635, or you can email me at payrock, Payroc, Rich Norton at gmail.com.
Awesome. As always, a pleasure. Thanks so much, Rich.
Thank you so much.